Calling the meeting to order. This is Thursday, June 20th, meeting of the trustees of the Public Burial Grounds Committee meeting. It is 8:08 a.m. I now call the meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now, stating their name and address. Okay, I see no one. At this time, I ask that all electronic devices be placed into the silent mode. And I'll call the roll call. When I say your name, just say here or present. I'm present, Judith Perla, Andrew Hathon. Present. Michelle remotely.
Present.
George Mirajanian.
Here.
Thank you. Others present today, Nick Erickson, the DPW Commissioner, Jacqueline Poria, Superintendent of the Cemetery Department, Petros Davis, the OPM from Answer Advisory. And we also have with us today, Tricia Shabbat, Ward 1. Are you in Ward 1, Tricia? No, Ward 3, okay. But Tricia was a past member of the Friends of Historic Pittsburgh Cemeteries. Also, she's a retired elementary school teacher at Memorial.
No, St. Bernard.
At St. Bernard.
Junior high at St.
Thank you. And we have Ward 1 Councilor Bernie Schultz with us. I don't see anybody here, public forum, that wants to make a statement. So we'll continue down. I'm going to make an announcement like I did last meeting, same announcement. Bear with me. The trustees of Fitchburg Public Burial Grounds are asking anyone and everyone for your help in our fundraising efforts to continue the process of the repairs and renovations to our Forest Hill Abbey Mausoleum. The Abbey has stood for over 100 years and it is in disrepair and needs our help. The city of Fitchburg has appropriated $175,000 to start the repairs. Answer Advisory has been hired as a project manager, and Spencer Preservation Group has been hired as a design team. The Spencer Group has been working at the mausoleum since last winter. They are now in the process of developing their proposed scope, specifications, and design documents. At this time, the trustees have been told this project will be put on hold as the city has no funding to continue our project. The mausoleum needs to be funded in any way that it can. We need to at least secure these documents and the most importantly to secure the roof of the mausoleum to stop the water damage from continuing to destroy the interior of the mausoleum. But this project should be considered very high priority and an emergency as it is a city building. This final resting place for our citizens has 387 people entombed there, including 2 World War I veterans, 2 Civil War veterans, along with Marcus Allen Coolidge, mayor of Fitchburg in 1916, the Wallace family of Wallace Paper Mills, Civic Center, and the Wallace Library, David Dillon of the Dillon Boiler Works, Arthur Lowe, one of the first families to be buried in the mausoleum, and president of New England Cotton Manufacturing Association, as well as treasurers of Park Hill Manufacturing Company. We are appealing to the public, to any foundation, banks, and corporations who so graciously help fund other projects in our city to consider a donation to the continued restoration process of this historic building. Please reach out to Jacqueline Poria, Superintendent of the Cemetery Department at 978-345-9578, or the trustees of Public Burial Grounds. That would be Andy Hawthorne, George Mirajanian, or myself, Judith Perla. Thank you very much. And we'll continue with the agenda now. So the first item on the agenda is an update on the Forest Hill Abbey. from Petros Davos, who is the OPM on the project. So you have the floor.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here this morning. Do want to just give an overall update of where we stand as of today, June 20th. So throughout the course of the last few months, Spencer Preservation Group, Answer Advisory, along with Spencer's consultants, have undertaken a pretty comprehensive conditions assessment phase. And that's included on-site inspections, testing, review of existing conditions, and, you know, we've received reports on hazardous materials, et cetera. And we have compiled all of the information, facts, findings, the recommendations that we've received throughout this process within this document, this OPM report that was issued yesterday to Judy, Nick, and Jacqueline. And the contents of this report, you will find every exhibit that was procured with this $175,000 that was encumbered for this process, and the schematic design drawings, particularly from Spencer Preservation Group. So this scope drawings was designed with the intent of preserving and restoring this building for many generations to come. This was a project that Spencer undertook. They're very passionate about, as you know, they could see Judy with you and the city and the cemetery. And they've designed this concept, this approach that they've described to me as the Tesla. And, you know, we obviously understand that there are funding issues and we're trying to work around them. And full disclosure, we are still trying to come up with an approach that is strictly a roof only project, but also not just putting a Band-Aid on.
Right.
We heard you loud and clear from the beginning. You know, we don't want to just spend money just to spend money. This was a comprehensive design that they came up with that works from the top down. They identified the roof as the major problem. There was a roofing project in the 2000s, 2010s that did more harm than good to the building ultimately. And they uncovered that throughout their conditions assessment findings. So to walk you through, I'd like to at least talk through the pricing. Judy, do you prefer me to talk to the pricing, approach, design?
Well, actually, right now, what we're trying to do, obviously, the most important thing is gather the funds. So we have to kind of know.
So I will talk
what's
to you.
The dollar thing.
So based on the design that they presented.
Yeah.
And again, this is the best possible design that they can imagine. The building envelope system, the roof, accessibility, site work, and drainage. All of that was encompassed in this phase one approach that we've discussed previously.
Okay. Phase one. So
phase one, to stabilize the exterior of the building, to remove and replace all of the roofing, any metal coping, any site work and drainage, accessibility, the new ramp and stair, all of that work, masonry restoration, that is going to, if you went to the mayor tomorrow and had to request these funds to stabilize just the phase one exterior of the work, it would be $3.1 million.
Are you kidding?
And that is an extremely conservative number.
3.1 million?
3.1 million. That is actual trade direct costs is about 2.4. But then you figure a 10% change order contingency, along with, you know, soft cost contingency of 3%. Once you factor these numbers in, that's where you land.
Okay.
To complete phase one and phase two, and you're assuming, again, the same change order contingencies, and the cost of work would be 3.9 million.
So total cost.
Total cost. That would be your interior and your exterior for phase one and phase two.
Okay. So can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do you want?
Ask as many questions as you want.
Yeah. Anybody that has a question, please, just raise your hand and we'll have you speak. Well, so, what happened to the 380,000, 400,000 for the documents first?
So documents first, 280,000.
280.
If we were to buy the documents, 280,000.
Okay.
That was a number that they broke out.
Okay. All right. That's a little more real.
That's, yeah, no,
Oh,
absolutely.
come on in. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, please.
And to talk through a little bit of how we landed
excuse me,
Yeah, please.
Petros. This is Derek Cruz. He's the Ward Six counselor. I invited Derek to our meeting because he is familiar with our problem, obviously, and his ward abuts Ward One. And he's also here to help with some grant writing. So I wanted, this is Petros
Nice to meet you,
Stavros.
Derek.
He's the project manager for this project through Answer Advisory. Do we have a package for, no, okay, I'll give him.
I can email it to you.
No, here, I'll give you this, and you can follow along. And I'll get another one later. This is what we're talking about now.
Thank you very much.
So Petros has just started, going through this document, and we're at the money point, or part of the money point. So just to catch you up, I asked about the document price, and we were given a figure about 380,000 to 400,000. So he's telling us now it's about 280,000 to secure the scope of work document.
Secure, so that would include Spencer Preservation. Realistically, to complete just the construction documents, it may be less, but they included bidding, construction administration, and CDs, construction documents, and that would be 280,000. So I could, in theory, if we said we may not be going out to bid, but we want CDs,
Yeah,
it would probably change, but that's the number that I was given, that all encompassing
Okay.
price if we're going to construction.
so it could be a little,
Less.
just a sec. Andy, go right ahead.
Two, actually.
Hmm.
One, how long are these prices good for?
That's a great question. I can get clarification from them. From Spencer, I'd imagine the price of the documents, that probably wouldn't change, assuming we don't go into 2025. But obviously price of construction with escalation, depending on when you're doing it, that's a totally different question. But price of documents, their designer fee, architectural and engineering, I wouldn't imagine a major change.
Okay, you think, these all in writing somewhere?
I can certainly request, absolutely, yeah,
All right, thank you.
absolutely.
You didn't mind if I asked?
No, go right ahead.
So the other question I have is, let's say we go ahead and we get these documents completed, we have the design package and all that. With the anticipated deterioration of the mausoleum year after year, how long before we would need to completely re-evaluate those documents before we're going into bid?
It's another great question. I think that I owe you the whole group temporary fixes, and I'm working with Spencer to see if they can develop a couple concepts that maybe help protect and prevent further damage to the building. But with their design in mind, realistically, I don't foresee any more damage to the building affecting the value and detail of the documents. Like I mentioned, I think the cost is a lot, because it certainly is a lot. I was surprised to see it being that much too. But when you understand what they're trying to accomplish and the design that they have in mind, they want this building to last multiple Judy Burrows. To last you and another 2 or 3 years. That's their design, that's their intent. They understand that that's the goal for you, for everybody, for all the project stakeholders. So I truly don't think that there would be any more deterioration or damage where the documents, you would look at them and say, well, that doesn't work anymore, based on what I've kind of understood.
Did you have a question you wanted to ask? No, all right, I thought you raised your hand, sorry. You can continue,
So-
like,
I will, please. So we did discuss with Spencer, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out a better option with them about a potential roof-only project. We understand that the roof is the major problem.
Right.
We also understand that because of the roofing problems, it's kind of led to other further problems within the building's exterior envelope. So to consider a few things with developing just a roof-only project, the cost of the roofing estimate that we received was about $350,000, I want to say. The assessed value of the mausoleum is about $850,000. So given Massachusetts 521 CMR, the fair and assessed value of the building being $850,000, anything 30% or more would then trigger accessibility requirements. You need to comply with accessibility. So that would then trigger some site work, obviously, a ramp and whatnot. So to do a roof only project, you would also then need to make the building accessible. Good thing about the mausoleum
Okay,
is there are no bathrooms.
great.
The interior doesn't have a lot of obstacles for us to overcome. It's strictly just how does someone who has these, issues or excuse me, these handicaps get into the building?
Yeah.
Once they're in, no problems there. So they're investigating how we can strip down this phase one, make it roof only, maybe pick and choose the areas of most concern in the exterior. Maybe we can only replace half of the masonry or restore half of the masonry, the ones that are most, affecting the building, and put that into another potential project.
Roger.
They're working on that right now, and that would include the temporary fix for now. I'd imagine that will come in much less.
Yeah.
And we can certainly look and pick and choose from the estimate that we received what do we want, what don't we need, a lot of these things. But this phase one project addresses every possible issue with the building's exterior, where you finish this construction, over time, you can address the needs of the inside. You can replaster, you can repaint, you can do all these things, but we can certainly guarantee that if you, with this phase one project, addressed all the exterior issues, there would be no more interior issues to contend with. There would be no ceilings falling and anything like that.
So, there's another question? Yes, Andy, go ahead.
Okay, on the interior,
Yes,
okay, I noticed in your document here, it's an asbestos abatement option. Now, is that, if you find, first of all, have you found any traces of asbestos in there? And two, if there is an abatement process that needs to be done, is that price inclusive into this, or is that a separate price, going to be a separate price?
the abatement would be an all-inclusive price.
That is-
If we mobilize one time, we're mobilizing for both interior and exterior abatement. And I do believe that they've included the cost of the interior as well.
Have they
It's a
done
food
that?
stamp. I believe I have to look at the report.
And where it would be, everything in it stone?
I would imagine it was probably just something, whether from the roof down or, it was mostly, their main focus was the exterior. And that was what they had found.
I thought we heard a price
It was.
of about 75,000 when they realized there was asbestos products up on the roof,
Yeah,
and
that
that
was-
was an additional, but you're saying that price would be encompassed in.
That is,
3.1.
that's included in this.
In-
That 3.1 includes that $74,400
Right, okay.
to remove and abate all of that hazardous material that was
Right.
found during the conditions assessment phase.
I have a question, Judy.
Yes.
You mentioned bathrooms, we don't have bathrooms
Yep.
now.
Right.
The handicap accessibility, will that trigger that we'll have to have bathrooms in it?
It will not. It will.
And so that would be only if there was existing bathrooms in there.
Or anything like that, you would need to then bring up to code. But the good thing about the building is you're just dealing with the exterior. And Spencer did say that they could potentially come up with a more simplified, obviously, yeah, and we will, the problem that you get into, and I think value engineering is a great tool, but it's also, you can lose a lot of aesthetic value, you can lose a lot of character when you value engineer, but I'm confident that they can come up with potentially a simpler option to achieving the acceptability. And if we can potentially get a roof project, which includes the accessibility, which obviously includes the abatement and hazardous material removal, and potentially some other exterior issues that they've deemed the most paramount to the rehabilitation of the project, such as site drainage or anything like that. I think that would be the main goal for now, understanding that funding is the major issue. And I think what I can do in the next week or so is I can come up with a revised version of this, including that project, now that they understand just how dire our situation is.
Well, just to add to that, I did reach out to Alex Vera, who he's the mayor's deputy chief. Okay, second to the mayor, because he's been tasked with the job of facilities manager, which just like Russ Carlstead was, okay? So I don't know how that's gonna play out with Nick, being the DPW commissioner. I know, Russ and Nick worked simultaneously together, but you contacted Russ. So now I don't know if Alex is gonna be able to take over in that position and have you work with him. I invited him today, but I was just, and it was late because yesterday being a holiday, everybody's all messed up with the times. And so I did write an email to him inviting him today, but he's at a funeral. So I have a packet to give to him for later. So I don't know how that, maybe you can help me out with that. How do you think that will play out a little bit?
Well, I know Alex has a lot on his plate because he's serving two roles, chief
Right.
of staff to the mayor and then
Yeah.
the facilities director. So he's got his hands full. So I think keeping him apprised of all the ongoings of the project is definitely a good thing. I think I'm gonna have to take a more active role
Yeah,
than when Russ was here, because Russ obviously had more time to dedicate to the project. So,
okay, all right. Well, so it'll kind of go the way it's been going.
yeah, I think we should definitely keep Alex in the loop.
Yeah.
Obviously, he knows a lot of people in the community. He's a strong advocate.
Right.
He could be a good asset to, spreading awareness and raising some funds.
So I just wanted to mention that because I did reach out. In fact, George was the one who, I think you're the one who told me I should reach out, and I completely forgot about it. So thank you for that. Secondly, we're gonna talk about that later, but I'll just mention it. We did have a kind of had our group yesterday at Monday, was it? Tuesday, I forget too. At the Historical Society, there were about 11 of us there. So just to let you know. Where's the camera?
Oh.
I have my first check donation for $50. So anybody out there that wants to contribute, I have a check from Mrs. Quaker. She is the wife of Mr. Quaker, who taught at Fitchburg High School, biology teacher, Mrs. Jean Quaker. And and she has been a
She's on mathematics.
yeah, Lunenburg High School, and her husband wrote a book about the cemeteries around the USA. So she was very interested. She donated a check of $50, so we're on the roll. So we just reduced the price by $50.
We just knocked out $50.
So we'll talk about that later. So I'll let you continue on with your assessment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think
But I saw that price of 800.
the assessed value of the mausoleum.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So assessed value of the mausoleum. So this is actually what the mausoleum would be assessed for once the renovations are completed. Is that how I'm reading it?
That's the.
Who did the assessment? Who did the assessment on the mausoleum?
I would assume it's just, I pulled this right from,
Yeah, it looks like it came from the city of
yeah,
Fitchburg, right?
the city.
The assessment.
The assessor's office with the city.
Yeah, I actually pulled this out of, I pulled it out myself. And that's about what it was assessed, but that's now, not after renovation.
Correct. That's the most current assessed value.
So the value of that building is about $848,000.
Correct.
So this document is available on the assessor's portal online. So there's a website called Access GIS Pittsburgh. If you type that into Google, it comes up with the assessor's database in a graphical form.
Yeah.
And you can go to each property within the city, click on it and get they call it Patriot Property Card, which is the property card associated with that property.
Yeah, so I had already pulled that up myself because I was curious when they were looking for designs. I thought maybe the city had some kind of design work with it, and I did see that property card. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so, I can just talk through a little bit of the numbers, I think, just to give kind of perspective to, where this $3.1 million comes from.
Yeah.
Because obviously it jumps out at you, and it's certainly a lot of money. But, So the estimate that we received, this was, professional estimator, PMNC, they're great. We are at page 54.
Page 54.
So page 54, this is the PMNC cost estimate for the schematic design, and this is phase one. So phase one is our building envelope and accessibility scope of work. So you have your new construction costs at $923,055. The hazmat removal budget, which we discussed, obviously was that's $74,400. The site work costs were $636, and that brings your subtotal trade cost of the building and site work. So this is your actual hard cost of construction at about $1.6 million. Then this is where, obviously fees, a hefty design and pricing contingency of 12%. You have your factored escalation of 1.3%, so on and so forth. And you arrive at the value of 2.383 total construction. And that's your architecture and engineering fee of 286 that I discussed. So what's included in this number? This is
this price here.
this is everything from your cast in place concrete, your masonry restoration, which is about $550,000. If we look at page 56, your metal fabrications, that would be your handrails for your accessibility, your small rough carpentry work, your roofing and waterproofing runs about $333,000. The door, they'd have to, I think, repair that exterior door, which is about $25,000 figured for a specialty door. Some miscellaneous electrical work, and obviously some earthwork and exterior work and utilities, some storm drainage. So that is the hard costs that we're looking at. So it's fascinating, when you look at it and you see 1.6 million, how do we get to 3.1?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we look at page 63, so this is the Answer Advisory budget summary of the exterior envelope and accessibility only work. So this is phase one. So we factor in the construction cost when you figure all design contingency, construction contingencies, soft cost contingencies, everything, you come out to about $2.383 million. We've put a 10% construction change order contingency in here. Given that we've done a comprehensive conditions assessment, we have been in the building, we've been on the roof, we've seen and understood a lot of the details that you might miss in certain conditions phases. I'm not sure that the 10% construction cost contingency is necessary, but this is, again, a conservative look at, if you go to the mayor and you're asking for money, you never have to go back and ask again. That's this number here. We've got our basic OPM services, which were the $97,500. Given that we just don't know the timeline of this, we've included an ad service of $75,000. Again, conservative number. That would be a TNE. We would hopefully not exceed that. But that's just, we're figuring every possible cost that we could imagine. So we've already encumbered, as we've said, we've committed $75,245 to the conditions assessment. That is what's been committed. And then we have this additional $286,000 for design and engineering, construction documents, bidding, and CA. That would be your designer services, 02, 002, 02. Then we move down. These are just other anticipated soft costs. We're going to need to do some environmental consulting. We'd imagine we'll advertise with Bid Docs, which is a very good online bidding platform for public Chapter 149 projects. That's a $1,500 allowance. And then, owner's insurance, builder's risk. These are typical overhead costs. And then material testing and window testing. With the new energy code, we just like to factor in some of these costs. FF&E, we don't foresee any costs there. And then we figured 3% of construction costs, the soft cost contingency of 3%. So you go down the line, your total project budget estimate. So this is the current project budget is 3.278,768,47. That is, if we had started this process 8 months ago, and we went through and we needed the money to complete the project then and there. That's what we estimated that this phase one construction would have costed. We're now $175,000 in, so the balance remaining to fund this project that we recommend requesting for additional funding would be that 3.103. And just for reference, to date, and I just spoke with Jacqueline, we are a little bit ahead on this because I haven't formally sent her the invoice, but it's coming this week. To date, we've invoiced 130,000 of that 175 that was committed. So your left to invoice cost would be 3.148.
Yeah, but that's.
And that's just for.
Yeah,
Right,
that's just, but that's gonna get paid out.
Exactly.
175.
Actually,
Yeah, please.
okay, this, maybe, whoever, is this building heated at all?
Heated?
He
No.
did, no,
Absolutely
no,
not.
doesn't
No.
need heat.
So, which, I didn't think so, under your energy, and I can find it now. You had mentioned the energy efficient. If it's not heated. So, I mean, obviously, what are they, what do we get for our money for that? What are they doing?
Yeah, I think that, again, I can pull these costs out. I think it's just, these are kind of standard, boilerplate. If we're putting together a budget, we want to make sure that we don't know, it could be a building inspector might request certain testing. We might have to get a third-party agent in to.
No, but I mean, energy conservation type of thing, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, no.
What are you conserving?
There'd be windows and ear, basically.
That's
So the new building code is pretty strict with making sure that airflow doesn't penetrate the walls, make sure that the windows have a certain thickness and encapsulate a certain amount of heat.
Do you have air handlers in there or?
No,
I think it's all just
direct.
naturally
It's
ventilated.
all natural. We do have heat tates that go up to the drains, or we did until, recently, so that, they might be looking at energy efficiency in that way too.
So can I ask, this project, when it starts, when the actual work starts, because of the city building, do you still have to pull permits?
You do still have to pull permits, and I saw in the estimate, we're assuming the fees are going to be waived.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily the case, so on page, where did I see it?
It would be the budget summary probably. Assumed waive on page 54.
Yeah, page 54, right-hand column. 3/4 of the way down, says permit assumed waived. So I think we should add in the anticipated permit costs.
Okay.
And, go back a couple more pages. Right here. Permit
Oh, okay.
assumed waived.
So,
And I know our new building commissioner is fairly strict, and he
Right.
follows the stretch code, not just the basic
Yeah.
building code.
Yeah.
So
so
keep that in mind when we're putting these costs.
why does it say assumed waiver?
So in some communities, if it's a city building
Yeah.
and the city is pulling the permit, the building department will waive the fee.
Oh, okay,
The way that Fitchburg is set up, each department is kind of its own little kingdom, so to speak.
yes,
Different pots of money that fund each of the departments. So I'm not sure the building department would actually waive the permit fee in this case because they still have to account for the administrative time that they're spending on it, their inspectors are spending on it, and that's part of their overall budget. So
so that leads me to my other question now. I watch those meetings.
CBA meetings.
Oh, I watch all of them. Yep, I see you, I see everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so in that instance, if the building department goes into this building and doesn't agree with what's being done here, they could add on additional work. Is that a possibility?
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
So they follow the building code.
Yeah,
And they make sure that whatever is being built matches that building code
Okay.
and it meets or exceeds it.
okay,
So as long as the designer is doing their job and making sure that the design incorporates all of the latest building codes that we need to meet, there should be no issues
No
or no
issues,
changes. The
And then-
difference comes when the contractor builds something that either doesn't meet that code
Right.
or there's some ambiguity there. That's when there's usually change orders.
do you think that the building department should be involved in this at this point, or should we not go down that road?
Not yet. I think once we have an actual draft set of drawings, it would probably be a good idea to get the building commissioner to take a look through them and say, hey, here's the set of drawings. Is there anything that you see that would be a major red flag?
And you don't call all of this stuff drawings, these highlighted areas in here, like,
They are drawings, but those are more conceptual or schematic level drawings.
so these aren't the actual,
This is a concept right now.
okay,
They will obviously further develop more detail. These drawings will go from 14 pages to
yeah.
40, 50 pages.
Yeah, right, okay.
And then from that point, you'll reach a certain set of, a 50% set, a permit set. And what the building department sees, we're gonna have to go through a permitting process.
Yeah.
We're gonna give them the documents, everything that we have, affidavits, all that stuff.
Okay,
And they'll review the drawings then, and that will be their opportunity to say, hey, you're doing this here, maybe try doing this. And they can kind of tinker with the design to their liking. But ultimately, we're building in their jurisdiction. So the building commissioner could adhere to something a little bit more strictly. It might be above the code. And that's fine. In certain districts, in certain areas, building commissioners want to see, hey, if the code says this, I want to take it just one step further because that's how we do things here. And that's, it's fine, but ultimately it's their jurisdiction to.
okay, that doesn't make me happy. Anyway, go ahead, Andy.
I guess it should probably be directed at them. Once, say we get that far,
Yes.
okay? Does the building department inspector make periodic site visits while they're doing their work, so there are no surprises? When you say, okay, it's all done, come and check it out.
Correct.
So they make can we request them to make periodic visits just to make sure that everything is as it's supposed to be?
Yeah, once they get a handle on what the project's going to entail, they'll set different milestones at which they'll come in and do an inspection before things get too far along. Because that's the last thing anyone wants, is to get too far along and then you've got to rip a bunch of stuff out there. And they're very familiar with construction and the process and all that. So they do their best to work with contractors to make sure that there's no or minimal rework if something doesn't meet code.
Well, the fact that this is a mausoleum, how much in the building code covers mausoleums?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I say, do they have to call in a specialist? I mean, is there any special, other special regulations that we're not aware of, or that I'm sure you would be, that.
To my knowledge, no.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific in the building code to mausoleums per se.
Right.
The building itself is broken down into different systems, and those systems are what's regulated through the building code. So windows, roof, ventilation, that type of stuff.
Yeah, electrical.
Electrical,
Right, yeah, electrical. And then,
Because this is a handicap accessible building,
right,
there's certain code that be applied to this building like this.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, and we should be made aware what those regulations are regarding handicap accessible buildings.
And
I
that's,
think, well, I would think that they have included that in the realignment of the steps. The steps are probably going to be taken out, a ramp.
And a ramp would be,
that's part of this design.
I mean, like beyond the ramp, there'll be other regulations beyond the ramp, that are required.
Well,
There's
it's a-
ramp requirements, there's handrail requirements, a few different things. And the ramp itself, there's certain percent slopes you need to meet certain widths, clear path widths.
Yeah.
Same with handrails, they need to be certain sizes, certain heights, certain distances from certain features of the building, so.
Just one floor, right?
Yes.
It's one floor, yes. And once they're in the building, there's no obstacles that I can foresee, right, inside the building. It's all one level, no stairs or any of that stuff that they have to climb up, or that interior. As a matter of fact, we're gonna do a tour. Any of you who would like to join us. Do you remember the date, George? We're doing a tour.
Oh, yeah, that's fun, yeah.
July.
17.
Oh, thank you. She has the flyer here. Okay, so July 1st, a Monday at 6 PM, we're gonna do a tour of the Forest Hill, mausoleum that she put cemetery because we've encompassed the cemetery in it. But, so if anybody would like to join us, because I know councilors probably haven't been in the building, I mean, I have no idea. So it's gonna be there for people to see. Yeah.
Follow-up question on George's point. In your initial studies, have anybody taken measurements of the doors? If we do have to come under all the rules and regs for handicap assessment, accessibility, are those doors
It's actually,
compliant
Well,
doors?
it's pretty big.
yeah,
Yeah,
I just thought about that
aren't they a
myself.
double door?
They are double door, big bronze.
Bronze double door.
Yeah, but it's say somebody's up there in a wheelchair.
I know, and I was actually just thinking that when you said that, George, I will ask about that. I mean, they've definitely taken measurements as far as weights go. I don't know, I'd have to refer to the code to see if there's any type of kind of compliance requirements with weights and a certain handicapped individual, but that's a very good question.
I think the doors will be required to have one of those buttons.
Yeah, probably an access bar, yeah.
And that needs to be located within a certain distance of the door and a certain height.
Correct.
So all those things need to be taken into account when the final design drawing.
I'd have to confirm, but based on, I mean, I might be able to see in their estimate of electrical connection and existing panel allowance for wiring inside building. So it doesn't look like they've necessarily included a cost for that, like a crash bar, but I can talk with Spencer Group about what that looks like.
I know you have more to say, Petros, but just, I'm just curious that the thought came to me the other day after our meeting at the Historical Society. Are they still enthusiastic about this?
Yeah, of course.
Because we asked about, I think, George or Andy asked about an extension on the contract type thing. We didn't know, I didn't speak with Mary Delaney. I don't know if anybody else here had a conversation about that.
I did.
You did, okay. Can you answer my question then about that?
Potentially. So her feeling was, she had the same concern that I asked a question about earlier. If we design this project and get a set of drawings produced, you know, there's always the concern that when we actually do have the funding to go out and build this, it's going to require a different set of drawings to address a new set of problems. So she was hesitant to move forward with getting those drawings done unless we had a more realistic handle on the actual timeframe in which we think we're going to be able to raise funding for the construction piece. So she was just giving me advice essentially, and that was her advice. Like, let's get a better handle on how realistically, how long we think it's going to take to raise the construction funds before we move forward with spending the $300,000 on the documents. Because the last thing we want to do is spend that $300,000. Takes 10 years to raise these funds, and then we got to go spend that $300,000 again to redo those drawings. And then at that point, it's probably more like $600,000 instead of $300,000.
So we kind of put the cart before the
Chicken
horse.
before the egg.
Yeah.
Sure, she's advising to not put the chicken before the cart before the horse. I think what we did here is very valuable to get a handle on exactly what these costs are and what our number needs to be that we're aiming for. Her recommendation was let's figure out a realistic timeline for the funding before we pull the trigger on the actual design development.
Okay, so that kind of leads me into item number 2 on the agenda, which we'll just discuss briefly while we're discussing all of this information. So Sally Cragen has reached out, and after my little stunt I pulled at Mr. Schultz's water council that night, she approached me afterwards, and she was very willing to help us get off the ground with funding through generating a friends group, because as trustees, we can't do it, but if we can get a few members of the public together and get a friends group started and get a 5013C thing started, then we could actually fundraise or campaign for money and solicit donations and things like that. And so she's been very active with this, and we, like I said earlier, about 11 of us met from 2 people from the Historical Society, or 3 people, 2 people from the Historical Commission were there. Nancy Navarro, Susan, thank you. Susan from the Historical Society, obviously there with a couple of her people. Mrs. Schultz was there, Ward 1 counselor, Jacqueline and myself were there. So there was interest, and George was with me as a trustee, and our main focus was how we're gonna get the money, to raise the money. So we have a meeting with the Community Foundation on, I think it's the 2nd of July. Sally and I and Ellen DiGeronimo, who also was at the meeting. So we're gonna go down there and talk to them about how do we do this? What's the process? I'm gonna give them my first $50 check if we go ahead with this. So I guess.
They run the Friends groups.
Yes, they
like
do.
Friends of Cogsall and others, so
Yeah.
that's the perfect organization to be.
Yeah, well, because I, to be quite honest, I'm a little hesitant to have money come to the city. You know, have a check written out to the city of Pittsburgh, and I know that the auditor said she would put it in a line item, especially for the mausoleum renovations, but I'm afraid that if that money sits there for too long, it's gonna kind of like ease its way into something else. I'm sorry, I'm being honest here.
Well,
So,
the community foundation will help with like the legal and tax. End
exactly,
of it too.
Yeah.
Like all the accounting and setting up the
yes.
501c3.
Right, so we're gonna meet with them and we're gonna see what we can do, because obviously this isn't gonna get done this year. This is, I think, where we're at the point, and unless someone out in the viewing audience has a soft spot for the mausoleum in Forest Hill Cemetery and says, there's a check for $1 million, we're gonna have to raise a lot of money, and
3.2 million.
how much?
3.2, I think was the number for
Yeah.
phase 1 at least.
So,
But one of the things that was not made known at the meeting of the Historical Society
yeah,
by Susan Navarro is that they're actually, Leominster Public Library has access at no charge to us, a massive database of potential grants that are available. That it's not available at the Pittsburgh Public Library, but Leominster Public Library has actually access to a massive database of organizations that actually give grants. And and she said there's a very extensive database. And we should actually avail ourselves of going and doing a search. Because we do not know of the organizations that are out there that are giving grants for which this model would qualify for. So we have to pursue that in as far as looking at organizations that exist in this country.
Yeah.
National organizations that exist that would possibly help us with grants. Yeah.
so that's where
Yeah.
Councilor Cruz comes in, because he's offered to help us do a little research and maybe do some grant writing. And I know Ellen DiGeronimo has written grants in the past for the city of Pittsburgh. She's been involved with city government for as long as I've probably been on this earth.
Can I ask a question, Councilor?
Sure you can.
Are you aware actually of the city employees in Fitchburg whose job is actually writing grants for various departments, police department, fire department? We've got a school. Okay, do you know actually the people who write grants for the city of Pittsburgh?
Not personally, but it would be easy to get in touch with them.
Okay, because I think getting there, I mean, unless they're committed only to the department they work in, I think we need the help of grant writers in the city to do research as far as reaching out and finding out where are these grants? Yeah, who's actually writing grants?
I think sure. I don't know, I'm not sure, some of the department heads, maybe you can speak on Solon more, because you've got your team as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now you write grants for the DPW.
Yeah, so
Do you have any outside, does anybody write grants for the DPW, outside of the DPW? I mean,
So within DPW, me and James Bunnell have primarily been the two grant writers.
Right.
But Mark McNamara and wastewater, John DeLine on the water side, they've written grants for some of the water sewer stuff. Outside of DPW, we do get assistance from community development. So Amy LeBlanc and Liz Murphy are two that write grants frequently. I know in the police department, they've got one or two people that go after grants. I don't know them personally. Same with fire. I believe they've got one or two people that have some familiarity with grant writing. So we could reach out to those two departments.
The challenge is getting their expertise is in that particular. field.
Yes, right, that's so,
Yeah, they would need to do the outside research.
right,
So
it requires research, yeah.
but it would probably be something that they would maybe need to devote like their free time to.
Yeah.
Because it would probably.
I think,
Question on that is, okay, this is obviously a specialty type of thing. So like you say, that database that has all these,
Yeah,
how would you know
that was my question.
who would be more willing than others to donate or, give a grant for restoration of a mausoleum? I mean, it's like
Well-
building a road or a hospital or something like that.
I think, I don't know for sure, but I think how I've been searching is there are preservation groups that will help with, that issue grants. I haven't found anything from the public other than, preservation groups through the state, through the federal government, from the park services, like, National Park Services.
But that's, granting, it's a historic building, but we're not on the register.
Well, it
But,
doesn't
but I mean,
matter.
does it have to be, as you said, like along those veins, or can it be, if there are other ones out there willing to cut a grant for us, how would we know? You have to go through everyone and
Well,
contact them
yeah.
and say,
Yeah, you do. I think that's,
but you have to use keywords.
yeah,
Cemetery, mausoleum,
Yeah.
preservation, historic, you can actually go do
Well,
the word search.
oh, we have to be careful if we say historic?
well, that's what I've been doing myself, like a couple of nights a week or a few hours that I have, I just go and key in, historic cemetery grants or cemeteries. How do we fund cemeteries? How do we fund mausoleums? And things will pop up, but when you read through it, it's like, no, that's not, they only are for specific things. And a lot of these foundations, I've been told, and even when I look myself, unless it's for education, unless it's for veterans, unless it's for homeless, unless it's for a specific criteria, we don't fit into anything. We're not really, so,
But how do we make actually the mausoleum declared a historic site?
well, it is
So-
actually,
It's not declared a historic building.
well, it is actually, on that paperwork that I had
It's
from.
declared a historic building,
It's considered a historic building. It's checked off
yes, but
on that, inventory.
some masters.
Yeah, mass.
Masters, right?
Yeah.
The cemetery,
But the cemetery itself is not a historic site.
it is considered historic, but it's never gone any further.
Can
On
I
the-
jump in here? Because we worked on this when I first started coming,
Yes.
and I can send everyone the reports that we went over.
Yeah,
The short story is that the area would have to be, deemed historic, a certain the city would have to deem the area
Which it has.
historical. And then the process, I kind of forget the steps, but the process that you have to take, there's not a lot of benefit to the actual amount of money that you get. So you could probably get like $100,000, but the process that you have to go through to secure that and all the engineering and all the paperwork and everything, you're really getting a match. And it's so, like I said, I will send everyone out the old report that I had done, which goes step by step the responsibilities and the process for the city, and then what happens once it gets to the National Historic Registry office and all of that. The issue is the amount of money that you could make from being an historical site after jumping through the hoops now could preclude you from using materials that you wanted to use that would cost you more money. And though everyone wants to preserve the character of the building, and we won't be tied to really rigid material and design specs, and then all of that oversight that comes with that. But like I said, when I did the report and I'd done all the research, everyone kind of understood that it wasn't the best way to go. But in order for everyone to understand what we already talked about, I will send everything to Judy again, and then she can share it.
Yeah. Yeah, we Michelle and I and Jacqueline met with this historical commission a number of times. And Michelle did take that project on herself, George. And that's why we as a committee decided not to pursue it, not to go any further, because again, like she said, a window that would cost $1,000 for us to replace, if we had historic value added, it's now $10,000, so it ties our hands in a lot of ways. But even in reference to that, I find the only way we would get donations or funding of any source is from the community, from philanthropists, from foundations that were local to our city, that we hear those names all the time: the Crocker Foundation, the Wallace Foundation, the Community Foundation. I mean, it's probably going to be drips and drabbles of money coming in, but eventually we'll get there. But again, it's going to take not 12 months. It's not going to take 12 months. It's just isn't going to do it. And the trustees or the Friends group, actually, it's not even us, it's the Friends group. If we can establish that group, they're the ones that are going to have to bang on doors and make cold calls and send letters. And I mean, am I right? That's what we've been told. I'm willing to do that as a taxpayer in the city of Fitchburg. That's my ward. I think it's okay to do. We got permission from the mayor to do it. So I don't think that would, but it's going to take all of us to do it as a group and this Friends group. So that's all I have to say about that. So if you have anything more you want to go over, Petros, I know you want to get out of here, so.
No, I think I would just, to kind of loop back to Nick's point with, I understand that, and I still think I'm going to work with Spencer trying to put something together that is a more affordable option.
Yeah.
But we don't sacrifice the integrity of the design, the aesthetic, and what we're hoping to accomplish. And I think I can have that next week.
Okay.
But I do just agree with Nick's point that as much as it's, the sense of urgency to get these documents underway and to have to reach this next milestone with the uncertainty with the funding, I would advise as the OPM not to purchase any documents yet, I think what we're doing now, we're still working within this conditions assessment phase. We're still trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, what we can afford, what we can't. I'm still working with them to put together more options, more pricing, projects that make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
I will talk to them today and I'll say, I want something that addresses every single problem with the roof. I need to know what's a critical path for exterior wall, what repointing do we need, what issues that are, if we spend the money, we're not going to come back in 2 to 5 to 7 years and say, well, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? And I will make sure that they factor that in along with the accessibility. I'll confirm that, the door, the crash bar, all that information, and I will hope to get a smaller version of phase 1 compiled and sent to you guys.
Yeah, I think that's probably, unfortunately, that seems to be the only step we have at this time frame right now. And the money's always the issue, right? So that's
But maybe if there's if it's
Yeah.
half the price.
Right,
It becomes more realistic,
Yeah.
and maybe there's a possibility.
Right,
You tell somebody who's trying, funding with friends of Fitchburg, you tell them we need $3 million, it's like,
oh, yeah,
what are you? Wrong place, what are you doing here? But if it's $1 million, $1.5 million, maybe somebody can say, all right, let's put our heads together and let's figure this thing out.
well, unfortunately, I'm gonna say this as a resident of the city and listening to city council meetings and listening to the budget meetings, there was, and the two councilors can correct me if I'm wrong, there was like $142,000 that was excluded was cut or saved from the budget. So the mayor could give us $142,000 for this project. That isn't gonna happen. Then there was 9.9 million in stabilization fund, which I understand when you touch it, it affects the bond rating. But this is a one-time emergency priority issue. So I need 3 million what did you say, $3.103 million, one time.
That's it. Yep.
How much is that going to affect the bond rating? Fix the building, fix it right, never have to fix it again. What's 3 off 9, $6 million left in stabilization. That's going to grow. It's got interest coming in. I don't understand it. I'm doing math in my head as a lay person, and I just don't see it. However, not this administration, we don't even know what administration. There was an endowment fund that was set up for that mausoleum back when it was built and dedicated in 1920 that had $100,000 in it. And today it has $3,500. That's disgusting. But somewhere along the line, the money was used for whatever reason. And even at $3,500, why is $3,500 sitting in an account and not making any money? I mean, give me a break.
It's very clear that they tapped into that endowment.
Well, we can't prove it.
Well,
I tried looking,
But
but,
all signs point to the
Yeah.
city avail themselves of that endowment.
well, I have documents that that's the kind of money that was in there. We have it, so my frustration is that, what are you gonna do when the building falls apart on top of you? What are you gonna do with 387 bodies? Where are you gonna put them? I showed, a couple of months ago, the 2 videos, disgusting, wasn't it? Heartbreaking, makes me wanna cry.
Where was that, Rhode Island?
Pardon me?
Rhode Island, is that?
The Rhode Island cemeteries, I mean, obviously they were privately owned cemeteries and mausoleums, but they were abandoned. They don't even know what happened to the bodies inside of them. It was disgusting. Anyway, so, yes, please, now that we're on a path to try to do some kind of fundraising or donations or just, calling up and saying, I need a lot of money, just send me a check.
No, I think that, I can use today's discussion.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna work on this through the summer months. So this is our last meeting, for anybody that is here. So we won't meet again until September. But if you can get things to us prior to that,
Absolutely. I'll revise this report. This will include,
Yeah.
any questions that we received today, any answers. I will take a look at this again with them and try and put together, this was the all-encompassing
Yeah.
cost.
Well, this is
Phases
great.
that we discussed,
yeah,
but we need to, based on the findings and recommendations and the scope of work, we need to peel back a little bit, understand it.
well,
And they'll give me the direction that I think we need to do this. It's our expert opinion that you need to replace these 20 masonry, stones because they're completely corroded. Okay, fine, include that in this.
Mhm.
But if there's stuff that we can pull out, to try and get this number to a more realistic place, we can do that.
I would appreciate that. I'm sure the group appreciates that. And,
I have a question.
yes,
In this assessment.
Yes.
Was there any indication that there's danger if the critical phase 1 as far as the replacement of the roof? I mean, is there any sign of assessment that if this is not done, there's a danger of further problems? I did not address immediately.
I wouldn't want to answer that question, obviously, without a little bit.
Because I don't know, they assessed on the roof, condition of the roof,
Yes,
whether there's any danger, whether they set up any red flag as far as if this is not attended to, you know,
I don't,
immediately, the danger of further deterioration.
A danger to the public.
Yeah, danger.
It's a safety issue, yeah, one thing, yes.
I don't think that there was necessarily concerns over danger. Obviously, the building is, you know, it may not be our lifetime, but if we continue to, if everything continues on this path, in 100 years, there's a chance that this, you know, with water infiltration and everything that happens within the building, there are gonna be more problems, but at this point in time, nobody's expressed genuine concern for dangerous. If somebody's in there, friends and family are walking, that is unsafe for them, they should not be in there. I have not heard anything like that. And I can certainly ask, but based on the findings, the consultants obviously made their remarks, but there was no overall, you must complete this work right now, or this building is gonna be condemned because it's unsafe. I didn't hear it.
One last question then on that vein. Now, with the poor roof,
Yes,
and you have found traces of asbestos there, usually it's in the roofing on the
yeah,
interior.
material, yeah.
Now, if it's leaking as bad, well, you know, while we're here, doesn't that, you know, now we've got asbestos that could be chipping and falling or whatever. To me, my trade anyways, that's right there. Is a safety, you know, even though you can't see it, that's a safety edge.
Yeah.
Now, should the public still be allowed to go in there, or should we post a sign on the door stating that, you know, you're going in under your own, you know, by your own choice? There could be an asbestos hazard in there. I know nobody likes to hear that,
No, understood, yeah.
but they're always gonna like to hear a lawsuit if somebody comes out of there, you know, with asbestosis.
I think it depends on what the asbestos containing materials that were found in the building were.
They were only on one side, I thought.
It's like adhesives.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less of a concern than say like.
It was mostly,
Floor tiles.
It's like, I know in the power plant business, no matter what it's in, if it's in there,
yeah,
within the confines of the building, you've got to notify people before they walk in. You get somebody that walks in and it's never been exposed to it. All of a sudden, now they're walking into an environment, whether it's a piece of tape or raw asbestos in the roof itself, they're gonna be exposed, and they've got the right to know it. That's my point.
But it's not asbestos that's penetrating through the
We don't know that.
ceiling. Well,
Until you set up a monitor.
I thought that you had
so,
mentioned that before.
no, it's, at this point in time, there's no asbestos that's protruding to the interior of the
Right.
building. But to Andrew's point, I mean, you know, given the roofing deficiencies, who's not to say one day that roof might not just, you know, collapse, right? Like, that's what you're.
What's the material on the inside? I know years ago, around the time that was built,
Yeah,
they built a lot of buildings, power plants, we'll say, and it looks like cement. But lo and behold, we found out when we started repairing it, it was actually asbestos. And what's the inside material?
Right here.
On the roof there, what's that made out of?
Material on page 23.
We did have the inside test rate for lead and asbestos for Monitech was able to go in, no, inside the building.
No, I'm saying the interior of the building in the ceiling.
Was it with the paint chips and everything? It was analyzed before Monitech was able to go in there with the students to fix the floor. So on the inside at the time, probably like 7 years ago, it was tested and it came back 0 on the inside. I'm not talking about the exterior.
No, I'm talking
Yeah,
about the inside.
yeah.
I'm just saying it's, I mean, a red flag went up for me anyways, because of my trade. When I see it says asbestos, I know usually we were forced to put up signs everywhere, saying, you know, just in case.
right. My understanding is it's within, it's within the roofing system, it's exterior. I'm looking now at, you know, it's built up roofing layer. It's felt, it's mostly just, flashing materials, sealants.
The time.
I wouldn't imagine that it's at a level where it's gonna be potentially within the interior of, I would assume that it's definitely outside of the building and,
Well, like John once said, it was done 7 years ago, but now you've got 7 more years of damage where infiltrated from the roof in.
of course, yeah,
Because you've been interior damage because of rain,
right,
so
no,
something had to get in.
understood, yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that the
Well,
ceiling is concrete, correct?
yeah,
It's a concrete
yeah.
roof deck, and then you've got your roofing materials on top of that.
And-
So the only real concern would be if the rainwater that's making its way into the building around some of those kind of roof penetrations, one is carrying some of that asbestos containing material with it into the inside.
Yeah,
If the concrete and the coating on the concrete on the inside is not lead or asbestos, then we're good there based on the testing that was done from Montech. So really, the only concern would be that water carrying any of those ACMs into the building from the roof.
Well, the only thing that jumps out at me as far as the pricing is your abatement cost that you entered in here. Seems awful cheap. That seems awful inexpensive. But, you know, in my experience, I mean, they don't usually like to talk to you in this, you know, it's 6 figures anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not saying great price.
Yeah, no,
Always right.
So everything in this list, so there's black asphaltic built-up roofing layer, black asphaltic roofing felt, flashing mastic / sealant,
page 24.
roofing, felt paper, tar / sealant on the roof deck, gray white joint caulking, black cap seam sealant, black mastic / sealant on some of the newer air vents. More built-up roofing layers, original black asphaltic roofing felt, flashing mastic / sealant,
Yeah.
asphaltic tars.
Isn't it only, like, not, it's not more than and not less than only 1% too, right? Isn't that what that means, 1% asbestos?
Well, anything greater than 1% asbestos is
Greater
defined
than-
as the asbestos containing material.
Okay, so that-
Labeled at that.
That means the percentage, okay, yeah. But
That's
I
just
would,
the threshold by which you test. So you look at that, and if it's greater than that 1%, then it's defined as an ACM. If it's less than that 1%, then it's defined as non-detect.
yeah, and on page 28, it has the breakout of the asbestos containing material type, the location, and then the asbestos total content with the estimated total quantity.
That's page 1.
That page, yeah.
728.
okay, but my question is, I mean, they found it, it's there, but nowhere in their description of it from Fussell and O'Neill does it say, or at least I can't see it, or maybe I'm not reading it correctly. They're saying it's there. They're listing what it is. The original asphalt build-up roof layers, the felt, the tar, but they're not saying that this is like detrimental to anybody's health at this point, that it's at a point where it's, you know, chipping off and falling in.
Right.
It's just they found it on the roof because that section
Correct.
that was repaired, that's the material that they used.
Correct.
Is that how I'm reading it?
That was obviously to fully understand what the roofing
Material.
material was,
Yeah.
what was existing.
Right.
Obviously, in
Yeah.
Spencer's design, we need to understand what
Yeah.
the demolition and the abatement would cost. We
Right.
knew that there was a chance, based on their site visits, they
Right.
noticed some things, you
Yeah.
know, that had looked like possible asbestos containing materials.
But they tested it.
So they tested
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
within the roof, the whole areas, every sample that they
Yeah,
took
that's-
was anything that they
Yeah.
deemed potentially hazardous.
Yeah,
And it's, at this point in time, they, you know, I can certainly confirm with Spencer, I can talk with them, I can reach out to Fuss and O'Neill. I can ask the question, is this a danger to not only, you know, people who are walking into the building, like, or whatnot? I can get a little bit more context on
Yeah.
that, but at this time, it all seems to
be
be
contained.
contained
Yeah.
to the exterior roofing.
Well, we don't have people actually go, I mean, granted, it's open to the public because people, well, maybe you can answer this question, Jacqueline. It's not really closed. It hasn't been condemned or anything like that, correct?
It has not been condemned.
Okay.
It is open to families who have relatives in there.
Okay.
They all have keys. It's not open to the general public
Okay,
on a daily basis.
so that was my question. So if someone had to go in there, it isn't like we can't say you can't go in there. That's because it's, there's a big hazard sign on the door or something. And we don't want it to get to that point either, because then what are we gonna do with?
No, understood. Yeah.
Now, on their report, it's all because the first phase, the first part of this project is the roof, because that's the most
No.
important one. And everything that they did in the report is roof. Did they even check inside?
My understanding was that they had,
I see nothing that says, interior.
Well, they did, yeah,
so they collected 18 bulk
Yeah.
samples from the roofing systems, including asphaltic roofing, felts, sealants, cements, roofing systems. So it does look like this is strictly the exterior, only.
Okay, going forward then. Say we, in a perfect world, we get the roof fixed.
Yeah.
Now we start heading to inside the building. So we're gonna have to bring somebody in if they didn't do it, obviously, inspect the inside. So now, if they find anything on the inside, locking on the old windows, whatever. Now we got another abatement cost, I'm assuming.
That's what it seems like, yeah. And I can certainly talk with Spencer about that, because my understanding was that when we had Fuss and O'Neill mobilized, they were gonna do every possible material that they felt was hazardous or ACM containing. ACM, excuse.
so are you saying that, again, now I'm looking at this thing here, are you saying that there's no, well, the second phase you were talking about,
That's about addressed here.
but I mean,
Phase is the,
Phase one is,
phase one exterior, it's the exterior.
we're not doing anything in the inside.
Right.
So now I guess my interpretation, maybe I have to go back and look at my notes, but this is, everything here is Fuss and O'Neill phase one,
Phase one.
pertaining to any exterior work. Interior work separate, but I need to reach out to Spencer Group to see. Maybe I don't think that we've received any of the reports that you sent from the interior. I don't know if they asked that. But my interpretation would have been that had we had Fuss and O'Neill mobilized to conduct testing, they would have done it all in one job.
Well, if they haven't,
Take it inside, take it outside, take it roof.
if they haven't, I mean, if that was your understanding, okay, will they come back and do it under the same price, saying, hey, we thought you were gonna do the inside too? Or again, is that gonna be an added cost?
I think that I'd have to talk with them, but now it looks like they probably have to mobilize again, or we would have to gather any type of interior testing reports that you guys have on hand. We can share them with Fuss and O'Neill as the consultant, and they can make a determination whether or not additional testing is required.
well,
That would be before I have more people come out and do more testing, obviously, right now, we know what we need to know about roofing, establishing a scope there. But I can talk with them about potential caulking and interior stuff like that and see where we stand there.
Both Spencer and I think Fuss and O'Neill walked through the building inside and out. It's also possible they didn't see anything that would have initiated a need to test.
Right.
well, on page, here on your in your table of contents on Spencer Phase 2 Interior Restoration Document 62, you have figures here, a temporary facility, access, disposal, demolition, remove carpet, we don't have a carpet, so I don't know why that's in there. Repair crack masonry adjacent to window at south elevation, repairs selective location of unattached marble panels.
Yeah.
Stained glass repairs, bronze doors. So they did go in and they did give you a price, $612,000 plus a fee of 73.
Yeah, because you gave us a price earlier for phase two, the completion. was
Interior, yeah,
3.9 million.
the interior restoration cost, this is the breakout of, that is all of your interior work.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with, I can confirm whether,
But isn't that his question, wasn't that Angie's question?
I think Andy's question was specifically hazardous
Oh,
materials related to the potential phase two interior restoration.
sorry.
And whether or not that was included in the $74,400, which I know for a fact, and Nick, I'm glad that you said that, because they certainly look up and down the building.
Yeah.
And we had Fuss and O'Neill out there. I'd be very hard pressed to think that they would walk the site, walk the interior, and not take samples of things that they felt were potentially hazardous contained. So I can follow up with them and see if this is just exterior, if this was the only thing that we felt we needed to test, or if we have to go back and do interior, just to clarify and close the loop and get a letter from them that says that.
I mean, if we do need to go back and test the interior as well, I know that right now we've only invoiced, what, 130K out of the initial 175, 495 that's been appropriated. So there is the potential to get that work done with the funding that's available, correct?
Yeah, that's what we've spent, right, okay, so we haven't spent it all, right, okay,
So
Yeah.
we've still got 45K
$1,000.
there hanging out, ready for the next step of the.
All right, well. Anything else you wanna cover?
No, I think I have
Yeah,
my,
bunch of notes
I got
there.
my homework, yeah.
And I think that to Andy's point, before we move on from that, we definitely want to make sure that there's enough contingency associated with that asbestos
Yeah,
abatement number that we're all comfortable.
Right.
And then I think, like you said, get a better handle on what the inside needs are. If there's any danger from the roofing, ACMs penetrating the structure and ending up to the inside. And then maybe we do need to put up a sign that says proceed at your own risk, or, enter at your own risk or something like that, just to let people know what's going on.
I think people should be, I mean, I know it's gonna put a lot of work on Jacqueline, but I think people should call you and say, I'm planning on coming at such and such a date, and I need entrance to the mausoleum. I don't think that people who have keys, I know Trish had the key, she was gonna bring it today to show, because I didn't even know about a key. That,
The families, when they purchase them or down through the generations, they have a key to get in the building.
even
So
today,
we don't, yes. Yeah, they don't ask me permission to go visit their family.
We don't
Yeah.
even has all the keys.
that's what I'm talking
No,
about.
So, yeah, they're passed down through the generations.
So-
But I don't know who has the keys.
So-
They're welcome to come and go, as they make their, like you'd visit a grave.
I know, but
That's their family's grave. They don't ask permission.
I'm not in agreement with that, because I think at this point,
But then
we're,
you're limited to time, day, and somebody, and a day of the week, if somebody can go and visit their loved ones.
No, but
And she goes home.
Liz has a very valid point. The fact that people on keys go to mausoleums. Have you ever found the actually, unlock, I mean, whether the mausoleum has been not properly locked by the people who have gone there and left it? Has it all been locked? There's not really,
I haven't run into that.
you haven't run into a situation
No, I haven't.
with any person gone and actually not properly locked the facility after they left.
who knows?
I haven't,
You haven't encountered that?
I have not encountered that. My gentlemen are in there at least once a week in there cleaning. Families that go in there, they want to make sure their loved ones and everything in there is safe. So if they're going in,
Yeah,
they're locking it.
right.
Yeah.
No, but I could see Jim's point as far as, a courtesy call, just letting them know, I mean, just letting you know that they're coming,
I don't know, but that's my feeling. So let me ask you, Trish, when you go in, is the door locked?
locked.
It's always locked,
Yeah,
yes, I
so-
can't get in there,
So
and I
Key.
haven't gone in a couple of years anyway, because I know it's a little.
But in the past, when you've gone to the mausoleum, you
It's
use
always
the key,
It's always
that
been.
big ancient
Yes,
key,
it's always been.
you can get in easily enough and everything, and then,
used to be easy. I remember my dad coming with me and he would have to kind of push on the door a little bit, but that was a few years ago. That's probably been.
I don't know how anybody else feels about it.
Can I ask another question about the interior? I've noticed that there's a green slime on some of the vaults. Is that going to be part of this restoration, or is that going to be up to the families to?
Good question.
I think that that's something that we can probably incorporate in a cleaning and that would probably be something that we can ensure gets completed when we're. I mean, I think it's just.
Have you noticed it, Jacqueline, at all?
I have not,
No?
no.
It's on my grandmother's vault. My grandfather's is fine, right next is hers, and there's a green slime. I don't know if it's mold or mold.
It's, yeah.
That was not there.
Well, that's a hazard material.
Is that considered a hazardous material? I don't know.
It's mold.
Yeah, it's mold. I don't, it's something.
Well, it's something. It wasn't, I mean, it doesn't just.
No, it was years ago.
Hazardous, it'll be on their report.
Yeah. Not necessarily hazardous, but not, you don't want to see that inside of a building, that's for sure. So,
All right, okay, well, I think we've covered as much ground on this thing as we can possibly cover, today. Thank you. Petros,
Yeah.
You got your homework to do.
I do, I will, I'll get you guys.
Knock it off now.
No, I'll get you guys, everything.
Well, because now, obviously, we're looking for the funding, because we know we're not getting it. I'm hoping that the counselors present today will encourage the mayor to work with this building and try to find some extra cash somewhere that's tucked away somewhere.
So, yeah, so.
Make a donation.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the mausoleum is very specific, and a lot of the cities that are grants are very specific, and they really don't cover mausoleums. They
Yeah.
cover veterans, historic sites, things like that. We are in perfect wrong, Commissioner, so Pittsburgh is currently not a CPA designated community. That requires a ballot referendum, and it allows the municipality to charge up to 3% on real property. So that's an option too.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
CPA Act of
Okay.
2020, Community Preservation Act.
Those, could you send me an email with that information? And then, because I can't really hear what you're saying.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, it's up to 3% tax levy surcharge on real property if you become a Community Preservation Act designated
Okay.
municipality,
Yeah.
and it requires a ballot referendum.
Okay, so that's gonna be my goal. I mean, I entertain help from anybody, George and Michelle. I know you're very, very, very busy with your new job. And I thank you for being here via Zoom. And
You're welcome.
Andy, but I'm gonna need a little help through the summer months, so I'll be sending out information to you guys and anything you can do to either help me or point me in the right direction, but that'll be my goal, so that we have something to really, start working on. And just even the public in general, I'll just keep making the announcement over the airwaves that anybody out there that is a historian or an architectural lover or just loves the city of Fitchburg, has a lot of money, doesn't know what to do with it.
Judy, I think another point that Petros made earlier was that if we could get that figure of 3.1 million down to a more
Yes.
reasonable 1 million, 1.5 million, I mean, that's going to go a long ways, especially with the Friends group to try to get donations.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll do that, we'll
Yeah.
work on
Yeah,
how we can pick this thing apart, so make sure that it's doing what it needs to do. Because that's the one thing, you said it when I first met you, you don't want to just throw money at this thing because you're throwing money at this thing.
Oh,
You
no.
want it to last and you want it to be done right, and that's what we want to do too.
well, it's like all projects in all cities, we try to do things internally with the people that we have in our city through either the DPW or the parks or whatever. We try to do the best that we can do with what revenues they have, and it's okay for a while, but it's not a permanent solution. And we've had, I'm just speaking personally, I've had multiple contractors that I've worked with over the years in projects on my home, and it's, if you're not there every minute of the day to watch what they're doing, they're gonna do something that they probably shouldn't be doing. And by the time you find it, it's too late to correct it. So we don't want that to happen this time around. We want to be able to, it's a lot of money, even $1.5 million is a lot of money to raise. And to put it to good use and, you know, secure that roof and do as much repair work as we can with it so that we can go to the next phase. Maybe, you know, we'll fundraise for the next $1 million. It's gonna be an ongoing project.
Yeah.
Until we get it all
John,
done.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So Councilor Cruz, you mentioned that, what was it, Community Preservation Act?
Yep.
So how would we initiate that? Would that be?
It needs to go on the ballot. It needs to be something that you vote, that needs to vote on.
Okay. So would that be through like a petition to council or through the mayor's office?
You can get a ballot question yourself as citizens.
I think,
But you have to get so many signatures. Do you know actually what the minimum signatures
I don't
required?
know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it's, I think, almost like 200 communities in Massachusetts are designated as such. So it's like 190.
So big.
Ellen DiGiorno might have mentioned something about, she's done petitions for this city when she was a city councilor and when she was, civic director, civic days director back, we were just talking about this last night when Headley Gray was mayor. And she did a lot of these petitions that you're saying if you petition the city council for funding for
If you to get a question on the ballot.
a question on the ballot.
So do we want to, what the question was essentially something like, do we want Fitchburg to become a community preservation act designated city, community preservation act designated city?
Okay,
And that would allow the city to charge that 3%.
3%
surcharge.
up to 3% surcharge. I don't really know.
So the first ballot question would be like a yes or no. Do we want to go ahead with making this Fitchburg a Community Preservation Act community?
Mhm.
And then how would we figure out what percentage we charge? Is that something that would be part of that vote or would that be separate?
Probably, we need to do some thinking on that.
okay. Yeah, well, if you don't mind sending me that information, you know, via email, then we can check it out. Well, that would be great, because that would encompass the whole city.
But it would come with the, you know, ultimately, it would be up to the administration to decide how to use the funds. So we could get all of this together and then something else could pop up. And then that money can be allocated to that. So the ballot question wouldn't be specific to the mausoleum. It would be, do you want to become a designated community? Yeah, conservation, preservation community, and a CPA community, and then the money could be allocated to there. It can't be used for roads. For anyone who's wondering about that, it cannot be used for the roads. It needs to be a project just like this.
Right,
So she wouldn't be any paid money for it.
right.
So there's some guardrails as to how that money is spent. So it's got to be used on preserving like a historic building or something like that, or a park.
Exactly.
Well, we can certainly look into it. It doesn't hurt them.
From the information that I was looking at initially, it looks like
Yeah.
this would be done at the perfect entrance, right?
Okay.
We look at that, which says that we'd get any of it.
Well, you know what? I learned one thing when I took a management course for hairdressing, believe it or not, they have a management course for people that own their own businesses. If you don't ask, you're never gonna get
That's right.
it, right? They can either say yes, no, or maybe.
For me, if you got enough of the city to buy into becoming a designated community, it's a community preservation act, CPA. It would put anyone in the administration, whoever it may be, in a difficult position and then not use the money for.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's what you did it for in the first place.
Exactly.
If they flipped and said, we're gonna actually throw it at this building or Proctor or whatever,
Okay.
that would be a tough.
And you don't know who's gonna be in the administration, you know, when you
Right,
get this
well,
all
this is the
all
thing.
done, so.
it had, yeah, and that's, I mean, that's the other thing, you know, you don't know who's gonna be on this board in another year, you don't know who's gonna be in office in another year, you don't know these.
And it's already too late to put a ballot on the questions
Yeah,
this year,
okay.
so, which is tough, because it's a presidential election.
All right, yeah.
So who makes that decision as far as where these funds go, if it went through?
That would be the administration,
The mayor.
communities,
The mayor?
and but ultimately the city can't, like,
It's a man's budget.
with any appropriation, the city council could say. So,
But if you have a designation, like you said, if it's designated for a specific project or a building or whatever, then it's not in the general fund, right?
This money would probably go into, it would be a separate pot, but again, I need to do some more data.
Okay, so we don't know.
It sounds like it would have to meet certain criteria, so it'd have to be like preserving a city building or a park or something like that.
Right.
So it'd probably go into what they call a special revenue fund, which is a fund that has strings attached essentially. It says you can spend this for X, Y, and Z. As long as it fits that criteria, you can spend it out of this account, nothing else. So there's probably something in that Community Preservation Act language that says you have to set it up this way to make sure that it's spent on these things.
Okay. All right, well, I mean, we didn't know about it, so now we do, so we'll look into it and see what happens. That's all we can do really at this point, is just keep moving forward,
Mhm.
you know? Anybody has any money?
Well, it's a-
Once it goes in, is it in for good or do you have to vote on it every time you have a restoration project?
once you are designated in that community, you need another ballot question to take it off the designation. So it will be, so if you do it, then it'll be every. But there's no, like I said, you don't do, it's not 3%, 3%, 3%. There's some more decision that can be made in advance.
And so the mayor's office would propose spending out of that fund. And then the city council will vote to accept it or discount. This is not through them.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Petros, for attending and taking all of our questions, and please get back to us as soon as you can. And I know, as council, if you need to,
I do need to get back to
yeah, go right ahead, go. You don't have to stay. We're gonna just cover a few more topics and then we'll be over the meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Is it all right if I check this with you?
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Petros.
In the next week or so,
Okay.
an updated report as well.
Okay.
Hopefully, something that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Is there gonna be any more about the mausoleum?
We're gonna talk about the fundraising right now. That's the next thing on the agenda, and then we just have you can sit at the table. Sure. So, Michelle, we're just gonna go over the next topic of fundraising campaign. As I stated earlier, we met with 11 people the other day at the Historical Society. Jacqueline and I were there. George was present. Sally headed the group. And we talked about fundraising in general and basically what we were going to do to kind of get that on the table and moving. And so what came out of it was we're going to meet with, well, first we're going to meet on Monday, July 1 at the Forest Hill Cemetery for anybody who's interested in coming. Meet at the Mount Elam entrance, yes.
Is that include
Anybody
people
wants,
like?
anybody that wants to come. Yep, open to the public, the more the merrier. We're going to talk about the cemetery in general because it's going to be the Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries. And then we're going to tour the mausoleum. For those people who have never been in it and want to see what's going on there, we're going to do that. So that's on July 1st at 6 p.m. It's a Monday. Secondly, we're going to meet Sally and Ellen DiGeronimo and myself. We're going to meet with Steve Adams down at the Community Foundation. We're going to meet actually with one of Erin, I think her name is, the young lady that we're going to meet with, Erin and Megan. And we're going to talk about the Friends group, starting a Friends group and doing a 5013C. And we have 3 people already that will be involved. I think we need 3 people, like a president, a vice president, a secretary or something like that. But we're going to get that information from them and how they're going to handle it for us. And that makes me feel better. So we'll start that and I can let everybody know what happens. And then what we do need though with that is a couple of things we discussed was we have to determine our needs and goals, which I think this booklet that Petros just gave us is kind of like, that's our needs and goals right there. Then we have to build a team, we have to get a board, we have to conduct a feasibility study, which is what this information is all about. Then we have to write a letter for support. And so there's a whole bunch of things that we have to do before we can actually go out to the public. And they want us, I got this all offline, so I don't even know if it's the right procedure, but
But we're not the committee foundation,
we're gonna,
tell you what.
right, we're gonna work with them. I think unless anybody here, and Michelle, unless anybody has any disagreement to that, you know, just speak up, let me know, but I think that's probably our best bet. This is what they do.
Yeah.
They know how to proceed, and I think it probably would be better to at least hear what they have to say, then we can make a decision. I know we can't vote online, right? We can't take votes online.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
So maybe we'd have to have a special meeting for just a voting thing, if you guys, you know, if the trustees don't mind. We could do it maybe by Zoom even if we have
I
to.
mean, you can hold a virtual meeting and vote virtually. You just need to make sure that it follows open meeting law. So you need to post it
Post it,
a few days beforehand,
Okay.
make it open to the public,
okay,
that whole process.
okay. So, by virtual. Post. Okay, all right,
Essentially, it could be a hybrid meeting.
I have
It
a
could be
meeting, okay,
me sitting here with this and then everyone else remotely, or
okay. So you only need one person present, like,
someone will need to set it all up on the city's end, yeah.
okay, all right, we can do
Doesn't
that,
necessarily
we'll
need to be-
figure it out. Okay, so that, so that's kind of what, yeah, that's kind of what we, have. And then the one thing that, Susan Navarra had said, which, I have here somewhere, was the, inventory sheet that we had, with us. I have it here somewhere in this file. It gives a description of the mausoleum. And she said that a lot of that wording in there could be used in our letter for donations, because it describes the mausoleum pretty well. And then we can list exactly what the money is going to be used for, which would be what the Spencer Group has given us. So we can do that.
If we, just.
Yeah, go right ahead, Ian.
If we're allowed to, I guess the word is solicit,
Yep, fundraise,
the fundraise.
fundraise.
What if we took a full page ad out in the Sentinel
Well,
and put down just perfect picture right here and just laid it out a little bit, you know, what we have, you know, some of the bigger names, you know, in turn within, and then the condition and what we're looking for, and it's, but, you know, preservation of, you know, historic Fitchburg, you know, but a full page, so somebody can, you know, they see it, not just a little article. And then, because not everybody's watching this, you know, what do you figure a percentage, about 2%?
Well,
so,
This way here, everybody that looks at the paper is gonna see it. And people that we might not ever be able, you know, reach now is probably gonna see it and say, you know, there's could be potential, like you say, entrepreneurs, whoever out there that this would reach that this isn't. So I just, you know, just a thought.
well, in my opinion, the most effective way is to have actually, so we have, you know, FATV does the best coverage of city government than any other community in the state, as far as community access patient. The number of actually legislative bodies they cover is greater than you find anywhere else. If we could actually have our people who actually conduct these meetings, I love actually when our council president, Zarella, you know, praises FATV, you know, does that. It'd be nice to actually have an announcement made by the council president at every council meeting, reminding the people of you know, the need, what our needs are, what the trustees are looking for as far as help from the public. And if this were made, every single city council meeting, even made a school committee meetings televised, and the ZBA meetings, everybody who chairs a committee would actually make that announcement as part of their presentation to the body.
We'd reach a lot of people,
You read your,
but I'm saying not everybody watches.
no, but more people, you know what the number one viewership on FATV is?
Probably,
It's all the legislative committee meetings. But that gets the greatest viewership of any program. There's no program on FATV that gets as extensive coverage by the public than those legislative bodies that meet. They get the highest viewership of any program. That's more than Barbara You, more than Inside
but I'm
Fitchburg.
thinking myself,
Yeah,
that's limited to Fitchburg. Because you can't see it in Leominster and, yeah, or you can, but most people in Leominster aren't gonna watch a Fitchburg City
but they
Council.
can. They're watching.
What I'm saying is if we did the full page ad in the paper, now it's getting, wherever the circulation of this paper is, we might have people out, we'll say, Lancaster, wherever, that might have people here or know somebody here that figured, yeah, geez, they need help, I'll donate, you know. That's my thought is, you know, now whatever their readership is left in the Sentinel,
Oh, yeah.
it will reach, you know, reach them. But just, you know, like I say, it doesn't have to be
So,
every week, but I mean, just,
But when you talk about a full page ad?
Yeah.
You know the expense, you know what an expense.
Probably $1,000.
You know what putting a full page ad in the Sentinel Enterprise would be?
well, so,
but you gotta spend it to make it.
No, I'm just saying.
so two things on that issue.
Yeah.
So Sally Cragen, Councilor Cragen, is writing an article and she will be putting it in her paper that she writes,
Reveille, yeah,
Reveille.
yeah.
And I believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe she'll try to get it in the Sentinel because she writes for the
She
Sentinel. Yeah, so she's gonna write an article and that's what it'll be about. She also has put out this flyer, which I will post on my Facebook page. And there is a Gmail account for anyone interested in any information. It's all one word, all small letters, Friends of Fitchburg Cemeteries @gmail.com. And there is a telephone number here as well, 978-320-1335. So I will give this to the city council president, as you suggested, George, to make an
Make it
announcement.
enough.
And then we'll continue with announcements like you're suggesting too. So those are two ways of doing it. Jacqueline and I were on the Barbara and You show Tuesday, it aired Tuesday night. I put it on my Facebook page. You can go to fatv.org and watch it there. I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, good.
We talked
I'm
about.
glad you had the photo, you had the photos.
Yes, we had photos and we discussed why we were there, and Jacqueline says she wasn't gonna talk, but she was very good.
Right.
Yeah, she filled in for me when I got tongue-tied. So we did do a lot. So we are making an effort, and that's the only thing that we can do at the moment. So I did speak with Beth. Actually, I did speak with Senator Cronin at the May Police Memorial function, and to Representative Kuchmarek in person. I kind of went in and just said, hi, guys. So quite honestly, both of them, well, I should say Senator Cronin said there's really not any funding at the state level for this kind of a project, but he would be happy to write a letter of support. One of the gentlemen from from the Fitchburg Historical Society Commission also is going to ask the commission to write a letter of support for our project. And then Representative Kuchmarek had said, you know, touch base with him again at the kind of like at the end of the year when they start their budgeting process, and then hopefully something will come of that. So
Like January timeframe.
yeah, so we'll make sure that we do that. Also,
Letter of support to who?
they'll give a letter of support in support of the Trustees of the Public Burial Grounds project for the mausoleum.
Who's it go to, just us?
No, I think it goes to mayor and the state legislature? That's a good question, and I really don't know who it goes to.
Well, if Kuchmerik's gonna put forth a recommendation in the budget, I think having those letters attached to that,
Yeah.
that earmark would help.
Okay, so that's how they do it.
I think that's.
Thank you for that.
So he can tell us that budget process.
And also, I have one other thing I wanted to tell you about, and I completely forgot about it, I'm right out of my head.
Sorry.
That's okay, no, that's okay. The only thing we can do is just move forward. We have a lot of people in our corner, believe it or not. Ellen DiGeronimo from the Historical Commission and Susan Navarro from the Historical Society. Everybody is willing to help. And so they've done this work. I don't know how to do this. So with their help, I think we can at least get it moving and get it going forward. What's one other thing? Forgot now what I was gonna say. I guess it's just slipped my mind. Sorry, it'll come to me at the end of the thing when I'm walking out the door. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? No, yeah,
Well, I noticed, for example, when we did the show with Barbara
yeah,
on Tuesday, she only did a live program with you and Jacqueline
yeah,
for the first half, and then she did a repeat. She didn't have a live, a second half. If she's doing repeats during the summer, I see no reason why she could not use a repeat of your program you did with her as the second half. If she's having a live people guest the first half, and she's doing a repeat program, I would recommend that she show that same program you and Jacqueline did on this past Tuesday.
She had choose one.
She's gonna do that?
Yeah.
And do that as many times as possible. You know.
thank you, because that reminded me what I had to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Barbara and You's program views in 8 communities locally.
Yes.
Lunenburg, Leominster, Townsend, Ashburnham, so local communities, but it also live streams all over the world.
Oh.
So if you just go to fatv.org and you click on her segment, that segment of June 18th, 2024, you can watch it everywhere. That you have a laptop or a phone or whatever. Also, in speaking with Ann Bisbee, they can do, how they do the announcements on their programs, they have announcements, so they can flash these announcements up there. And I agree with you, Annie, not everybody watches it, but a lot of people do watch it, believe it or not. So it's at least getting the word out there. I think that was all I had.
Would the
to say.
historical committee
Yes,
be willing to partner up with the cemetery committee as far as, like say, taking out ads, printing posters and stuff like that?
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would. I'm sure if we asked, they would. I mean, like I said, you can only say yes, no, or maybe, right? So we'd have to ask. That's what we have to do.
Well, technically, as a historical commission, the cemetery income is actually part of
Yes.
their commitment. I mean, as far as preservation of historical buildings. They talk about historical buildings in Pittsburgh. The mausoleum is an historic building in Pittsburgh. It's part of it's part of them. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
They cannot neglect them as a mausoleum. It's part of all the historic buildings in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they help with any project that aligns with their missions.
Right.
That's definitely one of them.
Yeah,
And that is in line with their mission.
And having Ellen, on board with us, I think that will help us as well, because she's very active in the community and knows a lot of people. And she sits on the historical commission as
And
well.
Andrew Patsy,
Yeah,
he also was there
Yeah.
also.
yeah.
So historical commission is interested.
Yeah.
We'll get involved.
So, we can just have a couple more items. It's 11 o'clock and I don't want to hold this up too much longer. Jacqueline, if you want to give your report on the cemetery, we'll do that and then we'll have an approval.
Sure, I'll just take a few minutes here.
Yeah.
Just for a general FYI, we did have an entombment of a cremated remain in the mausoleum at the beginning of the month. I do have another one scheduled for the end of this month as well.
In the mausoleum?
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
These newer existing families.
They're existing families.
They are.
Yes, I'm not selling any at this point. So these are people that are already purchased. On the mausoleum, I just wanted to address Tricia's question earlier with the green slime. I will reach out to one of the stone merchants and ask. We need to be extremely careful of what type of material that we use to do any cleaning on them. You know, it's over 100 years old. It's brittle. You know, I will reach out and ask what type of materials we can use before we, you know, try to address that at all.
I wasn't gonna attempt to do
I
it.
think,
No, please don't, please
I
don't.
wasn't.
No. So I will look into that and I will get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Question, Jackie,
Yes.
on your, the two that you put in the mausoleum,
Mhm.
full body or remains?
Cremated remain.
Yeah.
I also have a picture, we had a constituent run into the fence. And it took a while because, the insurance companies were going back and forth saying the car was stolen. They eventually did settle it. And I gave you pictures in the back here to show you, the damage and then, the repair that was made by Munitech. I've had two different meetings with Leominster's new board that's coming together, their trustees. And they were basically, there's a lot of questions of, you know, what they should and shouldn't do and stuff like that. I have another meeting with them at the end of the month. So we're reaching out and helping Leominster form their board.
oh, can I attend that meeting?
Sure,
Do you have a date on
I will, I'll email you.
it? Okay,
Yep.
yeah, because I think you told us they didn't have a trustee board, right?
They didn't, they haven't had one for many years. This is the same type of support that I have given to Lunenburg as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd love to, because they have a mausoleum,
yes, they do.
and it's
The sister to ours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then just to follow up what Judy was saying about the Friends of Fitchburg Cemetery just being organized. They are looking for permission from this board to hold an autumn equinox. It's going to be a listening and walking tour on Sunday, September 22nd at 4 p.m., rain or shine. So this is something that the board needs to approve or disapprove of this, and then I will issue a permit to the Friends of Fitchburg Cemetery.
Can we, September, so we have to do it now then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, Friends, tour,
Yes, and they wanted a listen and walking tour.
okay. Okay, so I need a motion to accept permission to hold an autumn equinox listening and walking tour on Sunday, September 22nd, 4 p.m., rain or shine at the Forest Hill Cemetery, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a roll call vote and just say yes or no. Angie,
Yes,
I'm sorry?
yes.
Yeah, okay, George,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Judy is a yes.
Just
Yes.
point of order on
Point of order,
that.
okay.
Who was the one making the motion and who seconded?
Oh, thank you, I'm so happy you're
I'm
here.
sure we don't get it.
Get into trouble, okay, so Judy made the motion,
Seconded.
and Andy, thank you for seconding the motion. And we accepted the motion. And the motion passed, is that correct? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Jacqueline, go right ahead.
I just included some pictures here also of the groups that helped us put the flags up for Memorial Day. I just want to acknowledge Monty Tech football team, troop number 17, troop number 41, and Fitchburg ROTC. The great day, they worked hard, it went very well.
Send out your thank yous cards to them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I was gonna say, we talked about this, was it you, Tricia, that used to bring a group of children into the mausoleum? I remember Mayor Di Natale was there one year when you brought your group.
It was the eighth graders from St. Bernard's Elementary, my students.
Okay,
I brought them, I used to bring them every year to Laurel Hill,
yeah,
which is the cemetery we originally were
right,
all working.
yeah.
And we did plantings and we did the flags. And yes, we did that. That was a long time.
I wonder if we should reach out to some of the schools in the area to see if they want to do some kind of volunteer work like that. Do you think that would be acceptable with you, Jacqueline?
It would, I think it's a great project for the Friends group
Okay,
to take on
Okay.
with a, a tour for the children. I think, that group would handle that very nicely.
Who's gonna chaperone?
Well, the
teachers.
The teachers.
I chaperoned and I would get a
I
parent.
mean, this would be more in the summer, wouldn't it?
We did a lot in the fall and then we did towards the memorial. Yes.
Spring cleanups.
Yeah.
but when you brought the group to the mausoleum, you explained about the mausoleum.
Yes, and I showed them my parents, and they're like, ooh,
But we could show them the graves of the founding fathers, the too.
exactly.
Okay, so.
I find that the kids are they're very interested in history at that age, they really are.
Okay, I'll reach out to, maybe the school committee, or the, superintendent.
Superintendent would be a place to start for Fitchburg Public Schools.
Okay,
St. Bernard's, I know Nick Pelletier is heavily involved, with St. Bernard's High. I don't know if I have any contacts for the elements.
who's that saying?
His name is Nick Pelletier.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, I know him very well. His mother taught next to me.
You might know
I had
someone
this-
still there, right?
Yeah, I know the principal very well.
Oh, there you go.
They're right. I think
Well,
she
if you-
will be next year.
Maybe you could just send me contact information and then I can include them when I send the email for their, for the fall or whatever, because we'll have Veterans Day coming up. And I did want to mention, anybody interested here or in the public, I'm going to say it wrong, the Healing Wall, the Vietnam Veterans moving wall is coming to Fort Devens. I just had it too.
Is that the same one that came?
The one that we had is in Fitchburg in 2018, because I was volunteer there. Anybody interested in volunteering their time? They are going to be in, no, I can't find it, of course. It is on Facebook. It's at Fort Devens, it's not Fort Devens, but Devens. It's gonna be held out there and they're looking for volunteers. So anybody interested in doing that is welcome to get a hold of them for setting up, breaking down, and then for covering it for 2 days, 24 hours. Yeah, I mean, they do it in shifts. Very, very, very emotional. Oh my God. Okay, anything else on your report, Jacqueline?
No, I mean, you mentioning that, it just makes me want to mention that Monty Tech, ROTC, reached out to me and they are looking to doing the Reese Across America again.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yep, I'll give you more information when I get it.
Oh, yeah, that's another great one. We did that up at the Veterans Cemetery in Winchton.
Yeah, they did it at Laurel Hill a few years
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah.
okay. All right, so I'll need a motion to approve the superintendent's report.
I made the motion.
Second,
Thank you, George. Thank you, Andy, for seconding it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Michelle?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. All right, so motion passes. And then the last item is just an approval of our minutes for May 16th, was there anything in the minutes that anybody wanted to go over, or just have a motion?
Make a motion, we accept that as read.
Okay, thank you, Andy, made the motion to accept. I need a second, George, thank you for the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor, the motion
Aye.
passed. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, well, as I stated earlier, this is our last meeting for the summer. We'll meet again, here in the West Room, first floor of City Hall on September 19th, 2024 at 9 a.m. And if in between we have to get together, I will send an email out and we can either do it virtually or maybe we can gather here, you know, just to discuss whatever we need to discuss, if that's okay with people. That should be okay? Okay?
Can I just?
Yes, yep.
At the meeting of the Historical Society, that Jacqueline, you were at with me, you made an announcement as far as, you announced that there's a vacancy.
Yes.
Of the trustee. Have you received any feelers from anyone? I mean,
No, so I will make another public announcement that this is the trustees of the public burial grounds is a 5-member board. Presently, we have 4 members, so we do have 1 open seat. So anybody in the public that would like to join us, you will notify the mayor via email that you're interested in sitting on the board. You'll send a resume to her. She'll review it. And if she feels you're appropriate, she will appoint you. So it's a 3-year term. We meet on the 3rd Thursday of the month. And we do not meet in July and August or in December. So thank you. So anything else that people need to discuss? If not, I'll ask for an adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, Andy, second? Church, second the motion. Okay, we are adjourned. All in favor of adjournment? And we're adjourning at 11:15 a.m. Thank you, everyone.